Hi. This is the second part of a two-part video series. Is it a series if there are two parts? Okay, I've decided that it is. On the gaslighting employee. The first part I did talked about the situation where the employee in question is doing it deliberately. You are pretty darn sure that they are deliberately doing these things that make you feel like you're doubting yourself. So let's pause for a minute and define gaslighting. It comes from the old movie, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen it, called Gaslight. And in the movie, without any spoilers here, the husband is basically attempting to make the wife feel like she's losing her mind by doing things like turning on the gas lights. They didn't have electricity at the time. The movie is set. Turning on the gas lights and saying that she left them on, making weird sounds in the house and telling her she's imagining them, and so on. The Google definition is to manipulate someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity. Okay, sometimes this happens because the employee in question is doing it deliberately for whatever reasons they may have. Covered that in the first video, which I will leave a link to in the notes below. Sometimes, however, gaslighting happens or shows up because the employee in question is on the defensive and therefore tries to present their point of view as the right point of view, their excuses, their reasons why something didn't happen, their reasons why they didn't know what they were supposed to do, and so on, as a defense mechanism when they are told they are not doing what they are supposed to do. Oftentimes, it's interesting because there are some studies done that show that many times when there is a performance problem, it literally is because either expectations weren't clear or the skills and training was not available, or there are resources that they need that were not available. So there are often reasons why an employee is not performing that have nothing to do with their desire to perform well. So if we have a situation where an employee's performance has been good, but maybe is not so good now, and they are making these excuses to you, and it is driving you nuts because it's like, why are they doing this? You need to look at two things. First off, those things that I just mentioned. Do they have the skills, the resources, and have you made the expectations really clear? Do they really know exactly what they're supposed to be doing? And you may say, yes, of course, but fact check that, reality check that. Second thing you need to look at is, what is your role and responsibility in this challenge? Because all relationships are made up of two people, which means that all relationships, the responsibility lies with both. Okay? So as a leader, self-awareness is essential as part of your leadership skills tool set. Which reminds me, I have not introduced myself. So, I'm Grace Judson. I work with companies to help them develop their first-line managers and mid-level managers into the leaders they need in order to have a humane and productive culture that helps the organization grow and succeed over the long term. So, that's me. Coming back to you as the leader, in order to understand your role in this, you need to look at what else may be going on in your life. You need to look at, are you bringing other kinds of stress to this situation? Are your reactions proportionate to the employee's behavior? Have you had a real conversation with them about expectations and resources and so on? Because that defensiveness is on the employee, absolutely. And yes, absolutely, they ought to be able to say, okay, I screwed up. I own the responsibility for that. They also ought to be able to say, hey, you know what? I didn't know that was what you expected. Can we have a conversation about setting expectations? This is not an excuse about, I didn't know what you expected, so how do you expect me to? It is, can we be more clear in the future going forward? And so on. It is on you to look at how you may be making them feel unsafe to say, you know what, yeah, I did screw up. I won't do it again. I'll do better next time. Here's how you can help me do better next time. You need to enable them to be able to do that. So yes, it can be maddening to feel like an employee is not being honest with you about having made a mistake. Absolutely maddening. And it is important, if that is what is going on, to not perpetuate the situation, but to step back and look at what is causing the situation. This is hard to do on your own because this is typically one of those things where you're mired in the middle of it and everybody's emotional reactions are triggered, right? Yours and the employees. It can be extremely useful if you're already working with a coach or a leadership consultant to take a step back and ask them for help to facilitate conversations with you, with the employee, with the two of you together to find out what's going on and to improve the situation. Yeah, and I don't know, I have to be specific about that, and not in a sense of, hey, hire me, but in a sense of oftentimes this really is the best way to resolve a situation like that, because otherwise it does tend to perpetuate because nobody really gets to the core of what's happening. Okay, that said, I hope this was helpful. If you are already a subscriber, thank you. If you aren't, click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you will find out about it when I release another video. And in the meantime, take care.